So what if you had a personal AI that knew you better than you know yourself? I mean, a real assistant that could help optimize your health, your career, maybe even your relationships. Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating thought experiment, a list of 30 life decisions that the author of our source material would actually be willing to hand over to an AI, and maybe more importantly, where he finally draws the line.
And it all kicks off with a question that I guarantee every single one of us has faced. What should we watch tonight? You know the feeling. For the author, this simple, kind of draining everyday struggle sparked a much bigger idea. What if an AI, one that had perfect knowledge of our taste and our moods, could just decide for us?
I love the author's mindset right out of the gate. He says, I am willfully becoming a cat. It's this idea of happily giving up the mental load, right? Just letting some benevolent intelligence take care of all the small stuff so we can just lie in the sun and enjoy the outcome. It's a pretty funny, but also powerful way to think about the appeal of letting something else do the thinking.
So to explore this, the author invents this concept of a personal AI he calls Clembot. Now, this is not just some recommendation engine like you have now. Nope. This is a deeply integrated life assistant. Clembot knows your goals, your habits, your health data, literally everything it needs to make the best possible decisions specifically for you. This is the tool he's using for this whole thought experiment.
Okay, so the author breaks down his willingness to do this into 3 zones. First up, the zone of convenience. These are the low-stakes, everyday decisions where an AI could save us a ton of time and mental energy with, very little risk.
And this is where the floodgates just open. I mean, think about it. What to watch next, what to cook based on what's actually in your fridge, not what you think is in there. The right exercises for your body today. What clothes would fit you and look good. New music you'd actually love, or even the perfect destination for your next trip. An AI could almost certainly handle all of these things way better and faster than we can.
And this slide shows you exactly why an AI would have the upper hand. Let's just take cooking dinner. When I look in the fridge, I kind of see what I remember buying, and I rely on the handful of recipes I know by heart. Clembot, it sees a perfect, real-time inventory. It cross-references that with my health goals, my family's preferences, and literally every recipe online to suggest the perfect meal. The data gap between us is just enormous.
But, and this is where it gets interesting, even here, in this super simple zone of convenience, you see this little flicker of human resistance pop up. The author admits that if the AI's dinner suggestion was too perfect, too optimized, he might actually defy it, just for the chaotic, creative fun of trying something new and maybe failing. It just shows we have this inherent need for a little spontaneity, doesn't it?
All right, now we're going to level up. We're moving to the next level, the zone of aspiration. This is where we go from outsourcing simple tasks to outsourcing guidance on our biggest life goals. We're talking about trusting an AI as a coach, a mentor, even a manager.
So this zone is all about self-improvement. And the author uses a really personal example. He wants to get better at disc golf. This isn't just about finding some information online. This is about getting personalized, one-on-one coaching.
And just look at how Clembot would actually do it. It wouldn't just give him generic tips from a YouTube video. No, it would analyze video of his throw, give him hyper-specific feedback, create a custom practice plan, and even identify other players at his skill level on his local course to connect with. I mean, that's a level of coaching that most of us could never, ever afford.
And this whole coaching idea just expands into all this other high-stakes territory. Clembot could tell you the exact skills you need to learn to advance your career. It could act as a VR coach for table tennis, or suggest the absolute perfect industry conference to go to. But then it gets even bigger. It enters a world where human emotion is often our biggest weakness, managing your money. Now, when it comes to his investment portfolio, the author makes this really profound statement. He wouldn't just ask for advice. He says, I'll have Clembot manage my full trust. That is a monumental leap of faith, handing over complete financial control to an algorithm, basically because it can analyze the market without any fear or greed. So, we've covered convenience and aspiration. Now we enter the most complex and, let's be honest, kind of uncomfortable area, the zone of intimacy. This is where that line between helpful and creepy becomes incredibly, incredibly fine. And this brings us right to the central question of this entire experiment. We might be totally fine with an AI picking our movies or our stocks, but what happens when it steps into our relationships, our family life, our health? I mean, really, where do we draw the line?
There's a perfect example from the article that just captures this tension perfectly. On the surface,
It sounds anything, right? An AI that scans your private chats, remembers your inside jokes, analyzes past gifts, and suggests the single most perfect, thoughtful present for your partner.
But then, almost immediately, the doubt creeps in. The whole point is that the process of thinking of the gift, the effort, is part of the gift itself. If that process is outsourced, does it completely devalue the gesture? Does it make the human connection feel, well, less real? The author's worried it just might.
And look at the other decisions in this zone. Choosing a school for your child, managing a chronic health condition, planning a date night, or even being prompted on which old friends you should reconnect with. Every single one of these requires an AI to know our deepest vulnerabilities, our desires, and our relationships. It's a lot. So, after this journey through all three zones, from the totally mundane to the deeply personal, it all comes back to a pretty fundamental question. What does it even mean to be a decision-making human?
This table sums it all up really well. For convenience, the author is mostly on board, a big yes. For aspiration, it's a yes, but it requires a huge amount of trust. And for intimacy, he's hesitant. It starts to feel creepy. So the real question now is for you, where would your check marks go?
And this, right here, is the author's ultimate conclusion. It's not just about getting the best outcome, it's about the process. There is real inherent value in the struggle, in the mental exercise of making a difficult choice, of weighing options, and of learning from our own mistakes. Convenience is great, but maybe not at the cost of our ability to actually think for ourselves.
Which brings us to our final thought. In a future where you really could outsource almost any decision to a hyper-intelligent AI that knows you completely, what is the one decision you would always, no matter what, keep for yourself? Something to think about.